In the meantime, Trump administration is going full steam ahead with this idea of a sovereign wealth fund. We've got extra cash lying around. There's lots of money lying around. There's some Bitcoin that the government hasn't sold, and I guess I don't know where the rest of the money is going to come from, but they can issue more bonds. They'll issue more bonds, and they already have somebody tapped to run this thing. Morgan Stanley banker by the name of Michael Grimes is going to lead this sovereign wealth fund that have Bitcoin and also have money. And after all, look, Saudi Arabia has one, so why shouldn't we? And Norway has one. We should definitely have one if Norway has one. It's a little insane. Now, a lot of this is supposed to be money when then is going to use to make strategic investments in the United States. One of those strategic investments that the Trump is very eager to promote, and there's actually going to be an executive order, I think, in the next few days. There's already a draft of this out there, but there will be an executive order about this, is very eager to bring back the shipping industry. You know, today, China has 230 times the shipping building capacity that the United States has. For every one ship that the United States can build in a year, China can build 230. Trump wants to bring back shipbuilding. Now, there are other countries that can build ships other than China. South Korea and Japan are two countries that still have robust shipbuilding capabilities, but China does dominate the world at this point. The United States does not build ships. It doesn't build ships for, a lot of reasons that have to do with regulation, cost of labor, lack of automation. By the way, do you think it's an accident that, our ports are inefficient, not automated? We just, the port workers, what are they called? What are port workers called? Anyway, the workers at the ports just signed a deal, an employment deal, remember that? Which Trump supported, which has the port owners committing to introduce automation very, very, very slowly. So the port workers won't lose any jobs. Longshoremen, yes, longshoremen. Longshoremen insisted on a slow introduction of technology. So Trump put pressure on the ship owners and the ports, and they agreed. But with these kind of unions, the kind of wages that they make, an average longshoreman makes well over $200,000. With no automation, and with steel prices very, very high. Why is steel prices high? I wonder why steel prices are high. Anybody want to remind me why steel prices are high? Because of Trump tariffs in 2018, which Biden didn't rescind, and then Trump added tariffs on top of the 2018 tariffs from 2025. So steel is very expensive in the United States. But don't worry. Don't worry. The Trump administration is going to sign an executive order that is basically going to embrace industrial policy, and it's going to bring shipbuilding back to America. They're going to make the biggest, best, most beautiful, most amazing, most grandiose ships in all of human history. I mean, they're going to make the Chinese look like nothing. The executive order, by the way, will also include raising wages for nuclear shipyard workers and instructions to Elon Musk to review government procurement processes, including the Navy's, to make them more efficient. So we're going to raise wages, so that we can ship we can build the most expensive ships in human history. And that's how we'll compete with China. In order to do this, by the way, we are going to raise money. We're going to raise money and make it expensive to buy ships or use ships from China. So there's already pending legislation in Congress, right, that aims at restoring U.S. shipbuilding by charging fees on Chinese-flagged or Chinese-built ships. So when ships come to the American ports, they are now going to be fined. They're going to have an extra fee. So not enough we have 20% tariffs on China. If the Chinese ship on ships, not even flagged in China, but built in China, we, Americans, are going to have to pay an extra amount. So, I don't know. I mean, Americans always complain about the Chinese don't play fair, the Canadians don't pay fair, they subsidize their industries, they restrict our ability to bring to enter their markets. We do exactly the same thing. And under Trump, we're going to do a lot more of exactly the same thing. This is industrial policy in its worst form, increasing taxes on Americans, disrupting global trade, disrupting American trade. I mean, American trade exports rely on Chinese ships. But if you're going to make it more expensive for Chinese ships to come to America, exports are going to get hurt. I mean, I really think, no, well, this is not true. This administration is so economically ignorant that they really do risk, doing immense, not small, immense damage to the U.S. economy. I mean, this is much, I know, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say it. This is much worse than what Biden did and much worse than what Kamala would have done. Now, Biden did other things that are bad and really bad, like the Chip Act, but this is the Chip Act on steroids, shipbuilding. And chips you can understand. Shipbuilding, why not just buy ships from Korea and Japan? Why not form an alliance with Korea and Japan and have them even build our submarines and our aircraft carriers? They're really good at it. And they are allies and they fear China. So why not help the Japanese and the Koreans and form an alliance around? They already have the capacity. What advantage is it for us to build this? And it's one thing to say, well, we need military ships, but no, this is merchant marines. This is regular ships. This is cargo ships. This is a tripling down on the Jones Act. Now, it's going to create maritime opportunity zones and maritime security trust funds to boost investments. Also, you're not going to be allowed, or you are allowed, but they're going to be special taxes on Chinese cranes. Well, where are you going to get the cranes from if not from China? Oh, we can get those unautomated cranes. We don't need cranes. We've got people. We'll just use longshoremen. We don't need cranes. David says the Philippines has 20 times U.S. capacity. Yeah, let's use the Philippines. They don't like the Chinese. That'll help us build the Navy to combat the Chinese. This idea that we have to build everything at home is so economically illiterate, so, from a national defense perspective, stupid. And the reality is that who exactly is going to build these ships? Where are these employees going to come from? Where is the skilled labor that knows how to do this? Remember, we're going to build all our automobiles in the country. We're going to build everything in the country, and we're going to build ships, and we're going to build weapons. Where are all these people going to come from? We're not allowing immigrants. That's bad. We can't allow immigrants in. So who's going to do this work? And think about the waste of capital. Waste of capital. I mean, there are shipbuilding facilities in friendly countries. Let's duplicate them. That's called a waste of capital. You know, when Democrats do it, all right, the central planners, socialists, we expect that. Now Republicans do it, they're all the same. All the same. You don't need to bring back middle America. The thing with middle America is that middle America has become rich. If you look at the number of people in the middle class, it shrunk. Not because they became poor, but because they got wealthier. Now, maybe by becoming wealthier, they got soft. And we need to make them men again. And the way to make them men again is to lower their standard of living and to fire them from soft, cushy jobs and give them lower wages in manly jobs that use muscles, because that's what we want. We want men who are muscle bound. We don't want men with minds, God forbid. If you look at the stats, the middle class in the United States has shrunk because more people in the middle class have become rich. And the rich, the segment of the population defined as rich, has grown. Why? Because we've shifted away from stupid jobs. Well, not stupid jobs. That's not nice. I shouldn't call jobs stupid. We moved away from jobs that require muscle to jobs that require the mind. And yes, I know, requiring the mind is not practical. That's right. The mind is an impractical thing. That's what Bob here says, right? The mind is an impractical thing. We need them back to deal with muscle because that's practical. God. This will go down, I suspect, and fear, as the worst administration potentially in American history. Taking an economy that is shifting to higher productivity jobs, shifting to higher value creating jobs, shifting to really, shaping the world out there through design and designing the stuff that other people build. And it's going to take us backwards. The whole point of progress is to deindustrialize. I mean, the reality is that industrial jobs in the future will all be done by robots. Human beings ultimately are destined to have jobs that use the mind. And those who are not very smart will be able to use AI to make themselves much smarter so they can still do jobs that use the mind. But that's where we're heading. And fighting that is fighting progress, fighting the future, fighting advancement. It's, what did Ayn Rand call it? The divine right of stagnation. They want to stagnate. Well, they're going to get it. They're going to get stagnation.